Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again with my sort of first attempt at Energy Blade. It won't be much of a build. I don't want you to really focus too much on how the build is overall at the moment. It's kind of a hipster attempt at a static strike and an Energy Blade. It's more about the intricacies of what Energy Blade is doing and just kind of learning about the skill itself. So start with Energy Blade, new skill that came out very recently in this league, and essentially it gives you a buff that grants you a new weapon. It completely replaces whatever weapon you're using, so whatever you have is irrelevant, doesn't matter. It gives you a new weapon that has some lightning damage on it, 7 base crit, and 1.7 attack speed. It gives you a bunch of lightning damage based off of how much of your energy shield it reserves, and it reserves 50% of your energy shield, or rather than reserves, it just cuts it in half. So my character, I think at the moment, has about 7,000 energy shield, and that translates in the end into about 60 to 1700 lightning damage on the weapon, thus giving me something like a 1800 DPS weapon of pure lightning damage. And it's pretty tough to build into because you do need a lot of energy shield. That energy shield then gets cut in half, and you still have to make sure that you're getting enough stats for your attacks, crits, whatever the fuck you're doing, as well as life sustain, energy shield sustain, whatever the fuck. So it is a confusing thing. It is going to be gear intensive on the high end, but I do think these Energy Blade builds are potentially going to create some of the largest monsters out of this patch, just given the nature of the stats around these things. If you can get the right type of gear and the right type of scaling and stats, it's probably going to be fairly monstrous. And my first inclination was to try Battle Mage with the Inquisitor and then turn that damage on your weapon into damage to your spells, and maybe either a cast on crit or turn it into some kind of spellcaster like a Hex Blast Ignite or a Dark Pact. Additional damage, either self-cast or totems. There's lots of things you can do with the Battle Mage, and I think that's going to be the most crazy shit to come out of it, but it can still be very relevant just as an attack skill. And for this character, if we're now going to talk about the build, I'm trying to make kind of like a static strike occultist, and the idea was to get pretty much full cold convert from all of that initial lightning, and then use the occultist ascendancy to scale some of that cold through the minus cold ascendancy, through the additional cold damage ascendancy, a couple extra curses, and you got yourself the explosions, which at this point are just helping clear. Now, Static Strike itself, I think, is actually a pretty good skill and vastly underused because it does have some rather broken mechanics. With Hydrosphere, it pretty much doubles its damage. With Intimidating Cry, it pretty much doubles its damage because it essentially snapshots the beams off of your double damage. So if you pop Intimidating Cry, you've got double damage up. You then hit once, it snapshots for all of the entire beam for the next few seconds, and that will all deal double damage. So I've been using Ambush in a similar way. It also snapshots for that. If you drop Hydrosphere, you have your chains or your Static Strike hitting off of the Hydrosphere and chaining onto the enemy, thus pretty much doubling your damage once again. And I think there's a lot of potential for Static Strike. You don't need to scale its attack speed as much, since it's all about just getting a beam hit off. And this character's sort of build at the moment, it's a bit jank, it's a bit nothing. Ideally, I think it is a lot nicer to do something like this as an Inquisitor, because you get like ES regen and you just have viability while scaling the energy shield as well as everything else. At the moment, mine's a bit scuffed, and I'll still show you what it is, but I don't really have a build to show you that you should be following as of yet. Still figuring that out. Maybe it'll never happen, but it's just a test of the Energy Blade itself. So let's see how it's done so far. So here is a character. It's currently level 80. At least I look cool. Occultist, because, I had little faith in this coming together as a full build, but it's still doing something at the moment. Might just take a whole bunch of sort of fine-tuning to get there. Part of the whole point of Energy Blade and like the coolness of it at the moment is literally just how cool it looks. So you can see my character has 3.2k life, 7.4k ES, and Energy Blade itself is just a buff. So here it is, grants 50% less max ES, and then basically sword. So as you can see, currently just got a sword here. It doesn't matter what I'm wearing. Turn on Energy Blade, and it looks that freaking cool. And it cuts my energy shield in half, and it replaces my weapon with a new weapon. It does have that huge amount of lightning damage basically coming from the energy shield. It also has an additional bit of crit and attack speed thanks to the quality of the gem. So the quality itself gives you 10 crit. That is just added to the base of the weapon, so it's pretty powerful to be potentially scaling quality on the gem, which can be done through an enhance or certain gear that can give you additional quality. And likewise, the Helm enchant, Energy Blade, has 15% increased attack speed, goes to the local attack speed, so it gets you to basically a 2 attack speed weapon with the enchant. And as you can see, with that huge amount of lightning, do the math, it's something like an 1800 DPS weapon. It's pretty ridiculous, and it can still go higher if we, get there. But it just by itself looks very cool. It has a lot of cool interactions with microtransactions. That's how it looks normally. And you can do a two-handed version, but of course scaling energy shield is going to be harder on that one as well. Yeah, lots of good interactions with lots of different macros. But the one I'm just going with is kind of a red lightsaber look, and then just going kind of a Sith Lordish type thing that's happening here. So that's basically the intricacies of Energy Blade. The only thing that really carries over is the sockets. So, got a few sockets here, and that's it. Otherwise, your weapon's pretty much irrelevant. Don't need to worry about anything like that. You can only attach Empower, Enhance, shit like that. And it won't really do much unless you are, really needing that crit and then a level 4 enhance with maybe some plus gem levels, or you're using an item that gives you a good chunk of quality. But currently I don't think anything's worth it like that, at least not in my build. It's just sitting here by itself. If I grab an enhance, it'll be a bit more crit, but it's fairly costly at the moment. So the rest of the gear I'm just trying to put together to have decent amounts of energy shield, and I'm doing Cold Brotherhood to convert half of my lightning into cold at the moment. I was hoping to do full cold conversion, but it's starting to look less and less practical, especially because Trinity is helping do a lot of our damage scaling. So currently you can see my damage is about 60% cold, 40% lightning, something like that. The tree is a very wacky one. It's kind of all over the place. This isn't really a build, and it's not really something anyone should be copying as of yet. So we've gone for just minus cold over here, the cold there, the explosions, and the additional curse. So I'm using Ellie Weakness as a blasphemy, and then an additional curse for Assassin Mark Ring. I've crafted basically all of my gear, so chucked a few dense fossils and stuff on Var Regalia, got a null off, and that's currently where we're at. Dense fossils on some shields, and I've made a couple of pretty nice shields. You can do some very good things with the shields at the moment. Just 86 eye level shield, throw some dense fossils on, get a bunch of energy shield. Got possibly the best Syntrex out there at the moment. Pretty damn good to use Syntrex in some of these builds right now, because they can have a lot of energy shield, almost 200 if it's such a good roll. And then you can still have evasion, which is pretty damn useful with this node over here. 1 energy shield per 8 evasion on boots. So the boots end up being something like 260, 250 energy shield with movement speed, and got a corruption for movement speed as well, so pretty damn nice. Grabbed a Crown of the Inward Eye, since I am scaling life, I am scaling energy shield, and I do need life, energy shield, and a bit of base ES doesn't hurt too. And then also had the Helm enchant, which I wanted to try out. Gloves, once again, dense fossils got us this far, and still working on a belt. Only just hit high enough level for a crystal belt, but that's what I'm going to use there as well. And then my amulet fills out a bunch of my attack accuracy, and energy shield, bit of multi, that sort of thing. And I need a bunch of strength there too. So it's a bit finicky to put together, but so far this is what we've got. And static striking with, let's see, static strike attached to Trinity, crit strikes, close combat, inspiration, and increased duration. I only just recently attached increased duration, and it does feel pretty nice for mapping. It's not going to be an end game thing, I don't think. And like I said, the sort of intricacies of this skill itself about abusing Intimidating Cry, Ambush, and Hydrosphere. So Hydrosphere, you know, if you have extra beams, it will chain off of them onto enemies. So you basically attack once, and you have a charge up and you'll be beaming things. And if you have a Hydrosphere down, then you chain off of that thing as well onto things that are nearby. Before you attack, typically I'm running around with Ambush at the moment. It gives you a buff, and then you snapshot that entire crit and crit multi with the Ambush the entire time. Otherwise, yeah, I'll get Intimidating Cry in eventually, and that lets you snapshot a double damage, though you can only pick between one or the other. You can only exert one thing here, and for single target, it's probably going to be Intimidating Cry. For clear, probably Ambush, but we'll, you know, see how things pan out. There's still a lot to go here, still a lot of things to do, but that's the core principles around the build so far. And you know, might give you some ideas, but Energy Blade, I think it's looking pretty powerful. And yeah, you can make all kinds of crazy builds. I think some Blade Flurries, some Spectral Helixes will be very big. All kinds of different ascendancies, your Inquisitors, your Raiders, your Elementalists, and I definitely think Battle Mage is something to look into. So I might still do a Battle Mage at some point. I had a couple ideas, like I said, Dark Pact Totems with Battle Mage scaling this shit, and maybe some Ignite Hex Blast. Basically, try and do it in a similar fashion to how Archmage used to work, except now you just scale Energy Shield instead. Yeah, that's kind of my little ideas here, and that's what Energy Blade is. Hopefully that clears up a lot of the queries. For now, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.